I am going to go over an article so incredibly stupid that it could only come from CBR. Because they're trying to get over this new Punisher that is coming out by dragging down the old Punisher, Frank Castle. Actually, the old Punisher, the OG Punisher, the only person who should be Punisher, Frank Castle, to make it seem like, everything about the character that ever happened was wrong and terrible. And it just goes to show that these are the people who don't read Punisher comics. And yet here they are with trying to make it sound like, they know so much about the character, and this is why the character didn't work, and this is why the character shouldn't be around. Let me get into how dotish this thing is so you could understand exactly what I'm talking about. This article from CBR, exclusive. How a new Punisher could let Marvel rewrite Frank Castle's most problematic legacy. Joe Garrison has taken up the Punisher's mantle in Marvel Comics. However, is there any way to improve the killer hero's legacy in the real world? I thought this was a comic book, but God forbid. And as this is the original Punisher, the OG Punisher, Frank Castle. This is this Joe Garrison jack-off that they decide to put in with his logo that looks like a pause button. Listen to how they start off this article. Let's do that article. And the article is by David Hart. So listen to how they start off this article. The Punisher is dead. Long live the Punisher. Writer Jason Aaron and artist Jesus says 12-issue Punisher had the titular hero join the Han Ninja clan, becoming a host for their dark god the Beast and turning more overtly villainous than usual. The book ended with Frank Castle's death, which felt almost inevitable thanks in part to all the bad publicity and the Punisher has gotten Marvel in the last few years because of the misuse of his symbol by far-right extremists and aggressive police. Let me just cut apart some of this nonsense. They sent in their hitman Jason Aaron to destroy the Punisher, Frank Castle, because that's what they wanted. They wanted to bring in their own Punisher that they could mold and twist into whatever they like. Kind of like what Marvel, what DC tried to do with John Kent, where they brought in their own Superman, so they could twist into any freaking thing that they bloody well choose. You understand me? They don't really care too much about that. Right. Then we had the whole thing with him becoming joining the hand and becoming the host of the Beast. A lot of it was absolutely that crap. And then it ended with him ending up in some world, I think is Nowhere World or Strange World or something. So he had some children with him. That's the thing about it. Now, listen to this last line. The Punisher has gotten Marvel thanks in the book ended with Frank Castle's death, which felt almost inevitable, thanks in part to all the bad publicity that the Punisher has gotten Marvel in the last few years because of the misuse of his symbol by far-right extremists and aggressive police. Far-right extremists. I don't know if they figure, it have a lot of they want to make it seem like everybody who's walking down the street with a Punisher jersey with a far-right extremist who is at the tear apart places and things like that. I don't know. And it's just nonsense on the whole. When they talk about aggressive police, okay. In the United States and in other countries around the world, yes, there are police officers who tend to abuse their power, who tend to use excessive force and against people sometimes. Okay, this is a fact. It happens. All right. But when you're coming out to make terms like aggressive police and then act like, because some members of the police service who are in specialized units, they may have like a Punisher logo, something on their uniform because it's cool. That automatically means that there are a bunch of sycophants who are going to be aggressive and possibly murder you. It's absolute and utter nonsense. There are people in the military who use the Punisher logo because it's cool. I had a Punisher jersey once because the skull logo is cool. That's it. Not everybody is out there looking for some reason to do something with it, but no, you're trying to make it seem like this logo is somehow the basis for everything that goes wrong everywhere. Crap, this absolute and utter crap. Alright, writer David Pepose is relaunching Punisher in November and putting a new character named Joe Garrison in the Punisher's black and white. This new Punisher has a lot to overcome, and the biggest thing is his place as a symbol for some of the worst people in the United States. You understand me? So you're basically stating that anybody who uses the Punisher logo, anybody who puts on a jersey with the Punisher logo and says, it looks cool. The military have units and things like that have certain things with them. So some of them make coins. So some of them have certain things that they put onto their uniform specifically that has the Punisher logo on it because it looks cool. All of them, including the police or whatever, are some of the worst people in the United States. They're all a bunch of hateful, destructive bastards because of this symbol. Joe Garrison is technically a new character, but can he sidestep the controversy that has marred the Punisher's mantle? There is no controversy. You're just trying to make up something. That's what. And they go on to talk about how Punisher first came to be, and he made his debut with Amazing Spider-Man number 129 by Jerry Conway, Ross Andrew, Frank, and all of these things and all of this stuff. Right, they talk about what happened with him and how people don't always trust the Punisher because of what he is. Yeah, but I'm not gonna deny the fact. You get down to the bottom line of it. Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, is a mass murderer. Yes, he's killing villains and all kinds of that, but that's just it. He's just killing them. That's not. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't care. He's getting rid of them. That's it. That's what he is. So you're not going to see him partnering up with other heroes and all kind of thing because that's not what he does. He's an anti-hero. He knows he's on a bloody one-man rampage to exterminate criminals. That's what he does. He's not looking to join up with the Avengers and go there, I think, because rather than go through this big battle, he'd shoot Thanos in the end and be done with it. That's it. They go on and talk about how what happened with stuff on the other, but then they make this point that the 1970s and 80s were a very different time when violent crime was actually on the rise and not just a talking point invented by politicians. So you already see where this is going. You basically say that crime in the United States, in New York City, isn't as bad as people think it is. It's just something, a talking point invented by politicians. So all these people who have gotten robbed, who have gotten assaulted, raped, kidnapped, killed, all of this is just some talking point invented by politicians. These people expose themselves in these articles heavily enough. They go on. So he goes on and says, cities like New York feel more like glorified theme parks for tourists and billionaires today, were dangerous places to be at night, and the Punisher played into that urban anxiety. Superheroes are basically glorified cops without badges, but the Punisher wasn't like that. He was a mad dog committing mass murder on a nightly basis. This is what happens when you could tell this person has never read a Punisher comic. Honestly, this person has never read a Punisher comic. Listen to how they talk about New York City. It's like a glorified theme park for tourists and billionaires. Yeah, back in the 1970s and 80s, New York was a very dangerous place. The whole reason that they came up with the idea of the Punisher is that people, you were more likely to get robbed walking to work than anything. So they came up with this character to do these things, to go out and deal with crime. But listen to how this person talks about this whole thing. Yeah, one. Yeah. So then they start off on this point here again. I have to go through this piece by piece to get you all how stupid this whole thing is. The view of the Punisher as the ultimate crime fighter is what made him popular. The Punisher didn't work with other superheroes. They thought he was a stone cold killer. He didn't work with the police since many of them were on the take, and he saw them as another kind of criminal. The Punisher acted as judge, jury, and executioner, and that appealed to plenty of fans. Punisher comics were basically wish fulfillment for a generation of fearful urbanites, many of them white, who wanted someone to destroy crime as an abstract concept. Lord have mercy. However, they all had a certain face they associated with idea of crime, part and parcel of how the media would when the media reported crime at that time, and that legacy stuck around when the Punisher's skull became a symbol for some frightening points of view. Okay, now first of all, let me just say this. Yes, yes, he's technically right here that the Punisher is kind of like a wish fulfillment thing. Okay. Punisher is basically, people will sit down and say, this is what somebody would do and because, okay, if you look at it from a realistic point of view, someone like the Punisher could never operate in the world that we live in today, because he would literally be hunted down and placed in jail for the rest of his life or executed, because he's a mass murderer. That's pretty much it. Killing criminals, that's what he's doing. Okay. And yes, it's kind of wishful fulfillment for people, because they were saying that's like, wow, I could do that if I had the opportunity to do that kind of thing. It's an escapism. But to sit down there and say that this was a wish fulfillment for a generation of fearful urbanites, many of them white, who wanted someone to destroy crime as an abstract concept. So you trying to tell me that a bunch of white people sitting around saying, you know what? I want to do exactly what the Punisher wants to do. I think this is good. And what is it with all of this nonsense, this constant hatred of white people, all this crap? Oh, yeah. I mean, this man is exposing himself as to why he doesn't understand a damn thing about the Punisher at all. Oh, yeah. Go on. And, all right, the Punisher got very popular in the 1980s to the point that there was a Punisher movie starring Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, sure, so it wasn't all that interesting. This level of cultural saturation stayed pretty steady until the present day. Everyone knows the Punisher's deal, and his symbol started to be used by all kinds of people, including members of the far right and the police. This is where the problem started. You keep mentioning the far right and the police. Lots of people use the Punisher law. We didn't have a problem with it, but no, because like about 4 or 5 people went on Twitter and complained about something. You understand me? So there were 10 friends. And because the literal brain trust that works at Marvel listens to everything Twitter tells them without having the literal common sense to do anything of their own, they decided, you know what? This is important. Let's destroy the Punisher, because why these 5 people on Twitter have a problem with it. Right? These people are idiots. Yeah. Right. This is another conclusion. The Punisher resides in a certain part of the American psyche. He's a man obsessed with destroying crime because of what it did to his family. Okay, understandable, fine. He goes to any lengths in his battle against crime, and his skull symbol means death to his enemies. Well, considering what he's doing, that kind of makes sense. All right. This has become a traditionally masculine symbol. Okay, cool. And that can be a bit of a problem, of course, because masculinity is the enemy. You understand me? Masculinity is the enemy. The fact that you have any kind of masculine traits at all is a problem to all these bunch of soy boys who work at these places and write these articles and crap. The Punisher's relationship to the crime problem of the 1970s and 80s was accompanied by the idea of inner cities ripped apart by drug dealers and drive-by shootings. For many people who glorified the Punisher without reading his comics, he was the guy who shot mobsters occasionally, but most of his victims' adversaries were black and brown people, since those were the faces of the media associated with crime in the 70s and 80s. Now this is telling. This is very, very telling. And I will tell you exactly why it's very, very telling. This shows exactly this person has never read a Punisher comic. Okay. Let me just say this. Crime has no color, no creed, no race. You could be a black man committing crime. You could be a black woman committing crime. Okay, you could be Latin, you could be Indian, you could be Spanish, you could be white, whatever. Once you're doing crime, you're a criminal. Crime has no color, creed, or race. No matter how you try to make it seem like that. So if there are black people doing crime and they are criminals, he takes them out. If there are Latin people doing it, he takes them out. If they're Chinese, Asian, whatever, he takes them out. But I can assure you, if you go back and look through all the Punisher comic books that ever come out, I haven't read all of them. I haven't read every Punisher comic book. But if you go back and look through them, I can assure you, Frank Castle has taken out way more white criminals than anything else. So do not come to try and peddle this crap that he was only, that the Punisher is some racist mass murderer who was out there killing only black and brown people, and that's a problem. And because his symbol was a sign of masculinity, that's also a problem, because you want a bunch of flicking soy boys running around all over the black people, and acting like, this is supposed to be exactly how to deal with crime. This is nonsense. You're basically trying to say, you know what? Okay, the Punisher is a mass murdering racist bastard. You have absolutely no proof of anything here. This is just crap you put out in an article to try and discredit Frank Castle Punisher to get over your own crap. They go on. Eventually, Punisher symbols made their way into neo-Nazi and Confederate groups. Then it even became a map that police started to put on their vehicles, which is even more disturbing. What? There's some units of the police that have, like, I've seen like small little logos of it on police vehicle, but they're like small little logos on police uniforms of that thing. That's just it, because it's a cool symbol. But no, that's a problem. Goes on. The Punisher is a mass murderer who kills criminals because he doesn't know how to deal with the death of his family. Not a character to be emulated in any way, and Marvel has often gone out of his way to remind me that the Punisher is no hero. However, for an audience that never reads comic books, you mean like the very person who wrote this article and only thinks of the Punisher as the guy who shoots criminals, he's become the kind of symbol that his co-creator Jerry Conway felt he needed to speak out and get, okay, Jerry Conway came out and made a bunch of dotish, crappy statements. I'm not even going to it with him and that nonsense. But you're trying to say that, the Punisher symbol is everything wrong with the character and everything that needs to be stopped because of it. This is absolute and utter nonsense. You've done nothing to talk about anything. You're totally Punisher. We clearly said that you know what? You've never read any of the Punisher comic books, and you're trying to make him want to be some kind of racist mass murderer who's just influencing everybody in society, and that everybody who even thinks about wearing his symbol is somehow horrible. Well, let me give you a bit of advice. It's a cool symbol. People are going to keep wearing it and using it because they bloody well like it, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. This new Punisher who you put in here, this guy is not going to get over with anybody. They may read the first issue, maybe the second, and then that will be the end of it. Frank Castle is, always will be, and will continue to be the Punisher. And just because Marvel chose to listen to a few crackpots on Twitter and shoot themselves in the foot once again does not mean that they have any clue what they're doing. Punisher is a cool character. People like him for a reason. People like all that aggression and all that thing that he does. That's what they like about it. I've said this before. I said that the best Punisher movie that they ever did was Punisher Warzone. That was a Punisher movie, and the reason people like it because it was brutal as hell. That's what people like about the character. If you have some problem with that, I suggest you get some professional help and talk to somebody who cares about your crap. But this isn't going to fly there. It's going to turn more fans away with your continued nonsense. Your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell if every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.